First, it is a symbolic gesture to tell ECOWAS that Niger was willing to take extraordinary measures to protect its sovereignty. So it is to assert its sovereignty and to tell the rest of the world, but in particular West Africa, that, I mean, it's not going to budge to the demands of ECOWAS. It also means that air travel is going to be restricted into Africa and outside of the continent. But it shows the rift between Niger and its neighbors, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, and ECOWAS. So at this point, because Niger is not really, doesn't have a lot of air traffic, given its location, the impact will mainly be symbolic and a message of affirmation that, look, we are not going to budge to your demands and we are willing to defend ourselves.
Yeah. What sort of military intervention do you think ECOWAS was considering or is still considering?
It's very hard to tell, actually. I mean, I was particularly surprised about, I mean, the nature of that ultimatum by ECOWAS. You may have seen that the Senate of Nigeria has actually rejected Bola Tinubu's request for troops to go into Niger. So it is surprising that Tinubu would go ahead and convince ECOWAS to agree to, subject the coup leaders in Niger to an ultimatum when, in fact, it doesn't really have the support at home. So at this point, it is hard to tell what kind of military intervention ECOWAS is thinking about, because really there isn't any indication that ECOWAS has the capacity to do that. Remember that Niger is not the Gambia or Guinea-Bissau. Niger is 10 times the size of the Gambia where ECOWAS intervened in 2017. So I don't see why ECOWAS would be able to carry out any military intervention at all in Niger.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, it would be really interfering in the affairs of a sovereign nation. I'm interested in your point about this rift that is occurring. Why do you think it is it happening? Are there outside players that are impacting this as well?
Definitely there are outside players. No state is an island entire of itself, as they say. And Niger is actually not acting alone. I think the stubbornness, if you like, of the junta in Niger is emboldened by the fact that there is Burkina Faso and Niger just next door, and also there is Guinea in the region, who are all of whom have actually indicated their support for Niger. So definitely, even on that level, Niger is not acting alone. But also, we can look at the influence of foreign mercenaries like the Wagner Group, for example, in the region. There isn't a concrete evidence that the Wagner Group, for example, actually instigated a coup or, probed the coup plotters to actually take that action. But clearly there is, an opportunity, a window of opportunity for Wagner Group to actually expand its spheres of influence in the region. So there are external actors, and of course Nigeria, and it's seeing this situation as a way of asserting itself in the region, thereby leading that charge of military intervention in Niger.
Yeah. They've also been threatened with sanctions. Now, that could have quite an impact on their economy and their ability to trade.
Definitely. Niger, close to half of Niger's GDP is based on foreign aid. So if you place sanctions, it is going to have devastating impact on the people. And Niger is also a landlocked country. It gets uses the ports in Nigeria, the ports in Ghana, along with Burkina Faso, of course, and Mali. So to close borders between Niger and these other countries would have devastating impact on Niger. And let us not forget also that Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world. And these sanctions are likely to have devastating impact. And it is not going to actually coerce the coup leaders, because, these are rational actors. They might have prepared for the ramifications of their action. So in the end, it is the everyday Nigerian who is actually going to suffer the consequences.
Which is interesting because you're seeing a lot of people, it seems, in Niger that are in support of this coup.
They are, and it is hard to tell whether it is the outcome of the populist sentiment, anti-France sentiment, or pro-coup sentiment within the entire Sahel West Africa region. But one can also understand, given the history of development in Niger. As I said earlier on, this is one of the most poorest countries in the world, despite being rich in mineral resources like uranium and gold. And so the people see a disconnect between what they have and what they can actually have. So when a coup leader then presents himself and say that, look, let us remove these leaders and we are able to provide you a better deal, then you can understand why people would actually fall for such rhetoric.
Indeed. One to watch. Really great to get your perspective, Muhammad. Thank you.
You're welcome.